Hi everyone, welcome back to this new video in this object-oriented programming series. In this video, we are going to learn the next principle of object-oriented programming, which is the concept of inheritance. So the idea of reusability in programming is introduced with the concept of inheritance. So we intend to use the property or existing functionality of a pre-existing class and add our own features to it in our own derived class and make our derived class much more usable for our use. So what does this mean? That we can reuse the property of existing class by deriving it in our own way in our derived class. So the class from which we are using the properties is called the base class, and the class in which we are adding our own property is called the derived class. So the idea is to make the existing class much more usable, and we will design a class using the features or reusing the features of the existing class so that we can add our own features to it and personalize it as our own way. Suppose, let us understand this with the help of a practical example. Suppose we intend to buy a sports car. Now sports car was not initially available as a sports car, right? So we buy an ordinary car, we modify it with the help of some car modifiers, and then it transforms into a sports car. So what is the differences between a sports car and an ordinary car? So if you see at my board, so a bare minimum car has a normal type of acceleration, some okayish type of braking, and some moderate type of suspension. But when you are coming to the perspectives of a sports car, at that time you need faster acceleration, more control over your car, much more control over your braking, means advanced braking systems, and much more suspension, so that you may have a comfortable experience in a sports car. So these are the differences between a bare minimum car and a sports car. But what are the common things in both the bare minimum car and the sports car? Both of them uses petrol, right? Both of them will have four wheels, both of them will have a common chassis, both of them will have a start functionality, a stop functionality, and accelerate functionality. All these things are common, right? We are just extending the base class or the bare minimum car and adding our more features like more boost to speed, much more acceleration, much advanced stopping of the car. We are not doing anything extra, we are just modifying the existing functionality. So in this way we can indirectly say that we are inheriting the properties of a base class from a bare minimum car, and we are adding our own functionality to it, so we are reusing. So this was the concept of inheritance. We can understand this in a much better way if we go to our code editor and just do a small piece of code. So the idea behind this code which we are going to do is, we are considering a rectangle class. A rectangle class will consist of length, breadth, area function, and the perimeter function. So what will the area function return? Area function will return with the length and breadth, means the product of length and breadth, and the perimeter will return with the 2 into a length plus breadth, right? So this is the common functionality for the rectangle, where it will have length and breadth. But when we consider the example of a cuboid, now what is a cuboid? A cuboid is an extended version of a rectangle. What is the added feature over here? A cuboid will have a 3D geometry, that is, it will have a height. And what's more, according to the cuboid, a cuboid will have a volume apart from the area and the perimeter. A cuboid will have the area, it will have the perimeter, but it will also have the volume, which is unique for the cuboid, and it was not present in case of a rectangle, right? So we will make a rectangle class, we will inherit that same rectangle class into a cuboid class, and we will add the functionality of the calculation of the volume. So let's go to our code editor and we can do it in a much better way. So let's go. So we are in our code editor, so we have a bare minimum code written over here. We will just write the rectangle class now. So we will write class rectangle. Okay, so class rectangle. So in this, the private members will be the length and breadth, int length and int breadth, right? Clear to now? So Now I will write the public functions. So one of the public functions will be to return the area. So it will be int area, which will return me the product of length and breadth. So return length product breadth. Right. Another function will be the int perimeter, which will return me the perimeter of the rectangle. So let's return it. So return 2 multiplied by length plus breadth. Clear up to now? Now I also need an additional function to assign the length and the breadth their value, because we have learned about constructors up to now. So we will just add a void set value. Okay, and we will supply it with two parameters, int L and B, which will stand for length and breadth. So length equal to L and breadth equal to B. Now once we are done setting the length and the breadth value, our class rectangle is now complete. So if you want to create an object of rectangle class, you can surely go ahead and do. That's nothing fancy over there. Now what we will do, we will inherit this rectangle class into a cuboid class, and we will add another private member, that is height, and one more functionality which we will add is the volume. So let's proceed. So class class cuboid. Now cuboid, right? So class cuboid, cuboid. I hope I made the spelling correct. Anyways, so class cuboid. So when you are inheriting it from rectangle class or any other class, you need to add the scope resolution operator, and you have to write public then rectangle. Now when you are mentioning it like this, it means that you are inheriting from this base class rectangle. Okay. Now once this is done, we will add another private member, which is the height. Okay. Once our height is added, we will write the public function of the volume, which will allow me to find the volume of this cuboid. Okay, so once we are done, we will return the volume as product of length, breadth and height. So return length breadth and height. Okay, so once we are done, we will just make the object of these classes, and we will see how we can execute inheritance. So once we are done writing the volume function, we see that some sort of errors are coming in the length, breadth and height. So if we go and zoom here, it is saying that the member rectangle breadth is inaccessible. Why? Because if you remember that everything inside this rectangle class is private by default. Now when a child class is trying to access a parent class or a base class, it cannot access the private members of the base class. Now in order to make the members accessible, there is two options. One option was obvious, to make everything as public, but this was not acceptable, because if you make the length and the breadth to be public, then it will be open, right? So the better approach is to declare them as protected. So when you declare a member function or a member or a data member of a base class to be protected, then the protected members can be accessed by the extending class or the deriving class. So for this, just simply if I write here protected, okay, now I will see that my error has gone, right? As simple as that. Now we have returned the volume, like length into breadth into height. Now another important function which we need over here is for assigning the values to the length, breadth and height. So another, we can write void set value to cuboid. Okay, so what are the values we will take as parameters? So it will be taking as length L, int B and int H, which is the height. Now once this is done, let's assign the value of length equal to L, breadth equal to B, height equal to H. Yeah, we are done with our code. So this was about inheritance, where the cuboid was inheriting the values of length and breadth from the rectangle class. So now let's create object of first rectangle. Let's find out the perimeter and the area, and we will have fun then. So we know how to create the class. We will create it in the stack itself. So rectangle r1 equal to, so rectangle r1 dot set value, and we will supply the value of length and breadth. So let it be 10 and 20, and let us call the area function now. It's giving me some error. Let's ignore it. So cout, we will now r1 dot area. So let's find out the area and let's see what the area is coming. So we'll add a text over here, so to make it more readable. So area of the rectangle is this. Okay, let's see how it's working. Why it's giving me error? Identifier CO is undefined. Let's run this code. So it's giving me that the area is 200 because I have given 10 and 20 as the input, so the product is itself is 200. So let's now find out the perimeter. METER. So perimeter. So it will be 2 into length plus breadth, so it will be 60 because length plus breadth is 30 and 2 multiplied by 30 is 60. So like this we are creating the object of class rectangle and we are getting the values. Now we will do the new thing, which is we will create object of the cuboid class and we will find out the perimeter, the area along with the volume. So let's do that. So cuboid C1. Okay, C1 dot set value to cuboid. Let's assign the value to 10, 20 and 30. Yeah, we are done setting the values and now we can simply write the perimeter is this, which is the C1 dot perimeter. Okay, we will duplicate it and we will write that the area is okay, and the last thing, which is the volume, which is unique to the cuboid. Volume is okay. So let's run this now. I hope we will get the correct answer. Yeah, so let's add some sort of endl over here so that we can make it much more readable. So end. Okay, so we are done. Let's remove everything and we will run this code again. So if you can see, we are getting the correct responses, which is the perimeter is 60, area is 200 and volume is 6000. So in this way we are extending the properties of the rectangle class into the cuboid class and we are finding out the volume additionally. So this was the example or typical example of single inheritance. Now inheritance can be of various type. Let's move to our whiteboard and understand what kind of inheritance can there be existing. So just now what I have explained to you was an example of single inheritance where the rectangle class was A and the class cuboid was the class B as per this example. So we were inheriting the properties of A class into the B class and adding our own functionality to it. But if we have much more classes like this, if single A class is derived by multiple classes, like here you can see A is derived by B, A is derived by C, A is derived by D. This is an example of hierarchical inheritance, right? Every class B, C, D are adding their own properties to the existing functionalities of A. So this is a type of hierarchical inheritance. Apart from this, we have the multiple inheritance where a class D, there will be some typographical changes. Okay, so as per the multiple inheritance, the class D is extended from the class A and B. That means the B and A both has their contribution to the class D. In other ways, you can say is D has the properties of both class A and class B. Right? This was an example of multiple inheritance. Apart from this, we have the hierarchical inheritance, which we have studied just now, and now we have the multi-level inheritance. So what happens in multi-level inheritance? In multi-level inheritance, we have a class A, okay, which is extended by B, which is again extended by C. So what happens in class C is that class C has the properties of class B itself and also the A class. So you can say that the class C is the grandchild class, B is the child class, and A is the parent class. So in this way, we can understand the very concept of various types of inheritance in C++. Now in many books, you will find out an example of hybrid inheritance. Hybrid inheritance is nothing just the combination of single inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical and multi-level inheritance. So it's just a combination of that. There is nothing new, so I have not added it in this video as a part. So these are the various types of inheritance which are available in C++ or any other object-oriented programming like languages. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video with polymorphism, where we will understand about various types of polymorphism and implement that in coding. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.